Hello, my name is Diamond, aka Lady Leo. Welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you are a returning viewer. So I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to get right into our Reddit Am I the Asshole stories, and I'm going back to the wedding category, which I like quite a bit. Really quickly, if you do end up liking this video and you want to watch more content from me, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps me out. Just keep in mind, I make a whole different types of content. I make Reddit reactions, I do nail content, I do reviews, all sorts of stuff, so you should be able to find something on my channel that you like. Okay, getting started with our first story. Am I the asshole for refusing to attend my sister's wedding after she scheduled it on my son's birthday? Maybe. All right, so here's the scoop. My sister recently announced her wedding date, and turns out she's planned it on the exact same date as my son's 10th birthday. A big one, since we're planning a Harry Potter themed party he's been excited about for months. I approached her about the clash, explaining the situation and hoping she might reconsider the date. However, she brushed it off, saying that the venue she loves is only available that day. She also hinted the family should come first, implying the wedding should take priority. Here's where it may get sticky. I told her that while I understand her position, my son's milestone birthday was planned way in advance and I wouldn't compromise on celebrating it. I suggested we could attend the wedding for part of the day, but we would miss the entire evening reception to be at my son's birthday party. She blew up, accused me of being selfish, and said I was ruining her special day. Now she's not talking to me, and some family members think I'm being an asshole for not prioritizing her wedding. So, am I the asshole for choosing my son's birthday over my sister's wedding? Okay, a couple things to unpack here. I guess it's really interesting that this ended up happening on the same day, because from my understanding, a lot of weddings, most are planned like a year out, sometimes more than that. So maybe this is maybe not last minute, but maybe she's planning the wedding a lot closer to the date, because you said you've planned your son's birthday party for months. So let's just say, for argument's sake, you've had your son's birthday party planned for 6 months. I guess that would be a kind of short amount of time for her to do her wedding, unless she genuinely picked this date. Sorry, let me go back and read and just make sure. Yeah, so your sister announced her wedding date and she planned it on the same day as your son's birthday. So obviously, considering that's her nephew, she would know that's her nephew's date of birth. So I would just be really curious as to know, when did she make that decision? I guess it doesn't make a big difference in the long run. I'm just trying to kind of see where her mind is at. It's her nephew, so if she has a relationship with your son, not sure if she does, she would know when her nephew's birthday is, right? I'm just saying, if it was me and if I was planning a wedding, I would make sure that I plan it outside of any of the family members that I'm close to. You know what I mean? So not on my niece's birthday, not on my mom and dad's birthday. I'm not going to take that into consideration for every relative, because I don't have that type of relationship with every one of my relatives. But for any of my immediate family and my friends, I would avoid birthdays, So it's very interesting that you've been planning your son's birthday. I said, for argument's sake, 6 months. She announced her wedding date, which, I mean, if she's only planning it 6 months before, that's kind of close. Or she's had this plan for a while and then she just announced it now. Obviously, I don't think you're the asshole for wanting to attend your son's birthday party over your sister's wedding. Not only that, you also said you would make a compromise, and you said, why don't we go to your wedding for part of the day? We just won't be able to be there for the whole day, which I think is really good on you, because I'm sure that's a lot to try and do a wedding and then have to facilitate your son's birthday. You said it was Harry Potter themed. I'm sure there's a lot of people there, so I'm sure that's a lot for you to do both on the same day. And I think that's really nice of you to make that consideration, even though you've had this planned first. But it's your sister, it's her wedding, you still want to be there. No, I don't think you're the asshole. I hate when family members take sides like this and say, you should prioritize your sister's wedding. I'm saying, if it was your own child, right? If your family members have children and their birthday happened to fall on your sister's wedding, are you saying that, and they had a party planned, so not just that it's your son's birthday, but you already have an event planned, are you saying that they would prioritize her wedding? Because if so, I feel like that speaks volumes about them. But no, that doesn't make you an asshole on wanting to prioritize your own child's birthday party. And again, I feel like you've made a concession. You've said to her, hey, we'll go to it for part of the time. We just can't go there for the whole time. And I don't think I don't think that's being an asshole. I think that's being really good on your part. I feel like there's a lot more to this dynamic between you and your sister than you're letting on that would sort of cause her to even want to set up her wedding on your nephew's birthday. So yeah, no, I'll just end it by saying I don't think you're the asshole at all. And I think it's very nice of you to even consider being able to do both in the same day, because that's a lot to attend your sister's wedding and do your son's birthday the same night. So nope, I don't think you're the asshole. I think you're very nice and accommodating. Anyway, so moving on to the next one. Am I the asshole for refusing to let my brother bring his new girlfriend to my wedding? Let's find out. So here's the deal. My wedding is in 2 months, and my brother, Jake, just started dating someone about 3 weeks ago. Okay, so it's super new. I've met her once, briefly, during the family dinner, and she seemed nice enough. However, my fiance and I decided early on that we wanted a small, intimate wedding. Okay, this means strict rules on plus ones, basically limiting them to longtime partners. Okay. I'll get into my thoughts on that in a second. Jake was initially fine with this, but last week he asked if he could bring his new girlfriend to the wedding. I reminded him of our agreement and he seemed to understand. However, he's been calling and texting me nonstop for the past few days, trying to convince me that his girlfriend should come because they are getting serious very fast. So, I mean, if it was me, I don't want to go to someone's wedding that I've literally met once and have been dating their brother for like 3 months. That's just me. Like, I don't want to go to, you know what I mean? Just with a bunch of people you don't know. No. Anyway, I feel bad because I want him to be happy, but I also don't want to start changing rules and upsetting other guests who weren't allowed to bring their newer partners. This has started to cause tension between us, and some family members think I'm being unreasonable by not making exception for him. Am I the asshole for sticking to my original wedding guest rules and not letting my brother bring his new girlfriend? Okay, so my first thing is you mentioned early on that you have a small intimate wedding, which is fine. Can't talk. You're having a small intimate wedding, which is fine. And then you said you have strict plus one rules, limiting them to longtime partners. So I don't really understand this. You don't have a rule for your wedding that says people can't have plus ones. You just have a rule saying that they have to be long-term partners. I'm just trying to understand what the difference that makes. If you're allowing people to have plus ones, what difference does it make if they bring somebody who they've been dating for 6 months versus somebody they've been dating for 10 years? I guess I just don't understand the stipulation that they need to be long-term partners. You're not putting any rule about people not being able to have plus ones. You're just saying they have to be long-term partners. I don't really understand that stipulation. I'm going to be honest. It would be different if you said, oh, okay, we're having a small intimate wedding and nobody's allowed to have plus ones because of that. That would be a completely different story because your brother would be asking for an exception that nobody else is getting. But you are allowing plus ones and you just want them to be people that they've been dating for a long time. I don't understand this. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I don't really understand the difference either. If you know what I mean? I just don't get it. Anyway, so that being said, again, if I was your brother's girlfriend, it would be strange to me. I don't know why she wants to go. I wouldn't want to go to that, but I'm naturally more of an introverted person than I am an extroverted person, and I would be very introverted at somebody else's wedding with a bunch of people I don't know. So it wouldn't be a comfortable experience for me. But your brother seems pretty hell bent on wanting to bring his new girlfriend. This is one of those things I think you're going to have to really sit down with your partner and say, do we want to make an exception for my brother? Because I'm not saying that you would lose your relationship with your brother, but this could cause a rift from you. Not because of anything you did, just because your brother doesn't seem like he wants to bend. And is it fair that you have to bend? No, it isn't. Again, you are allowing plus ones. So this only stipulation here is that he just hasn't been dating her that long, which I don't know what would have changed if he had been. So I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle. I can see why you don't want to change your rules, but again, you do I mean, okay, do you have a certain amount of people that you are inviting to this wedding? Because you said it's small and intimate, which I don't know, could mean a lot of things depending on the size of the wedding. So let's say you only have 50 people at the wedding. If he's allowed to bring his new girlfriend, would that still allow your wedding to be like small and intimate like you want? So I guess for me, I don't think you're the asshole because it's your wedding and you should be allowed to do what you want as long as it's not unreasonable. And I don't think, it's unreasonable. To me, it's interesting. Not unreasonable, but interesting. And I guess I would just be, I don't know. Like I said, maybe just have like a conversation with like you and your partner and just decide whether or not it's worth it for you to like put your foot down on this or just like, make an exception for this. Again, if you had decided, like I said, I would feel very differently if you had decided that you're not having any plus ones, but to hear that you are allowing plus ones, you're just limiting them to longtime partners. Okay. And again, if you have a certain amount of people that you only want to attend this wedding and, her coming would throw that off, then yeah, then I definitely think you should be like, no, she can't come because we only want to have the wedding be like 50 people or less. And we're already at 49 or something. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think you'd be the asshole, but I feel like I would have a conversation with my partner, talk it out and make the best decision for you. Just, if it becomes like a big problem where your brother's like, I'm not coming to the wedding if you don't do this, then you just kind of have to weigh the pros and cons, whether or not it's worth it for you to not have your brother come to the wedding and to potentially sort of fracture that relationship with your brother. I'm not saying it's right or for him to do that if it comes to that. I'm just saying sometimes you have to be the bigger person and kind of make those choices, even if you don't feel like you're in the wrong. That probably wasn't a very definitive answer, but I feel like it can go a couple different ways with that one. And I guess I'm just really stuck on the plus one thing. Anyway, sorry, moving on to the next one. All right. So am I the asshole for refusing to let my friend bring her toddler to a child-free wedding? Okay. I feel like I have my thoughts immediately, but okay. So I'm a 28-year-old female who's getting married to my fiance, 30-year-old male, in a few months. We've been planning for a while now. When we first started discussing the wedding, we agreed that we wanted to have a child-free event. We both come from families where weddings are big, long affairs, and we've been to many where kids were running around, getting in the way or causing a scene. We just didn't think it was the right atmosphere for young children, especially since we wanted to keep the focus on the celebration of our marriage and to be able to enjoy the event without any potential interruptions. We've made our child-free decision clear from the beginning, both verbally and in the invitations. On the invites, we specifically mentioned that the wedding is child-free and that we kindly ask guests to make arrangements for their kids. We also followed up with close family and friends to make sure they understood the policy. Most people have been really understanding, and we even offered a local list of babysitters for anyone who needed help finding care, which is very nice. However, there is one situation that's been weighing on me. A close friend of mine, let's call her Sarah, 29-year-old female, has a 2-year-old son, and she's been upset about our child-free rule since we sent out the invites. She's a good friend, and I really care about her, but she's been making things a bit uncomfortable lately. She first expressed her frustration when I told her about the child-free policy, saying it was unfair and that she'd have to choose between her son and attending my wedding. Hang on a minute, Sarah. You've had a lot of time, Sarah. Like, you've had a lot of time. When did I'm just trying to remember if she said, like, when she sent out the invitations. So they made it very clear when they sent out the invitations, it was a child-free affair. They gave you a list of babysitters. And not only that, her child is very young. There's a big difference if you're talking about like a 10-year-old versus a 2-year-old. A 2-year-old is a toddler. They have to be watched constantly. So that's a very different kind of thing. Anyway, so she's upset about that. And it's unfair. Girl, I don't know what you're talking about. Having to choose between your son and attending the wedding. I don't know what that means, but okay. I tried to be empathetic and said that I completely understood that it might be difficult for her, but that we have firm our decision for the event. Okay, next part. A few weeks ago, she approached me again and asked if she could bring her toddler just for the ceremony. What are you planning on doing with him for the reception? You know what I mean? Like, does he have a father who's in his life that you can drop him off with? Like, why would you be able to bring him to the ceremony, but you're going to drop him off somewhere else for the reception? Anyway, she said it wouldn't be for long and that she would leave right after the ceremony to avoid disrupting anything. Oh, sorry, that clears it up. She said that finding a sitter for such a young child wasn't possible and that she didn't feel comfortable leaving him with anyone else. Okay, fair enough. I don't think it's impossible to find a sitter, but I do understand her feeling uncomfortable leaving her 2-year-old with somebody else. I'm not hearing about the father, so maybe the father's not in the life, or maybe he just doesn't live in the same state. Maybe it's not his week to have his son. Not sure. I'm not going to assume it's a deadbeat dad because I don't know that. Anyway, so you were sympathetic, but sorry, I was sympathetic, but I reiterated that our decision was for the entire wedding and I couldn't make exceptions for one person. I even suggested that she could bring a +1 who could help manage her son, or maybe we could find her a sitter, but she didn't like either of those options. Again, you're being very nice and accommodating. I mean, if you're saying she could bring a +1, wouldn't that be you allowing her to bring her son? You're just asking her to have somebody else to manage him. Anyway, now she's been really distant with me. She's texted a few times saying how hurt she is that I'm choosing my wedding over our friendship. Huh? Girly. Okay. And that I should know how important her son is to her. I tried to explain that it's not about her son, but it's about the overall environment we want to create for the day. She then said, if you're not going to let me bring him, I just might not come at all. It feels like an ultimatum. It's making me really torn. It is an ultimatum. It's basically do what I want or I'm not doing what you want. On one hand, I understand that it's tough for a mom to be away for her young child for an extended period of time. But on the other hand, this is my wedding and I feel like I should be able to set rules. I don't want her to feel like I'm not understanding, but I also don't want to start bending the rules for one person when we've made it clear to everyone else. My fiance supports the child-free rule, and he feels the same way that this is a big day for us. We want to enjoy it without worrying about kids. So I guess I'm wondering, am I the asshole for sticking to my guns and not allowing my friend to bring her toddler to her wedding, despite her frustration and potential decision not to attend? No, I don't think you're the asshole. I mean, it is your wedding, and wanting to have a child-free wedding is a very specific thing. And again, if her son had been older, maybe you might feel differently. Like if her son was 10, that's a big difference between a 10-year-old and a 2-year-old. And I think the fact that you made a couple concessions saying, hey, why don't you bring somebody with you and maybe they can help you with your child? Maybe it's something like that. She didn't want that. She doesn't want a sitter. I can understand her being like not wanting a sitter. It doesn't sound like she has any help. Again, I don't know that because I don't know the full situation with your friend, but she's not saying that she can drop off her son with her mom or her dad or with another friend or family. She's not mentioning the father. So I don't know if it's just a situation where she doesn't want to be away from her son, or if she just doesn't have any other place that she can take her son just for like this situation where she can attend your wedding. If that's the case, it's just one of those situations where like it's your wedding, you want it to be child free, and having a toddler would change that. And sometimes when people go to events like a wedding, they do think, oh, well, I don't have to watch my kids or somebody else should watch my kids. They think it's a break, but we're not a bunch of babysitters for your kids. So I don't think you're in any way the asshole for sticking to your guns. I would be curious to know some of those things that I just mentioned. Like, does your friend have help? Is the son's father in his life? Or is it just a situation where she's at a stage with her son where she's deeply attached to him and like she just doesn't want to be apart from him? Because that's not really something that any of those other elements that I mentioned would change. So the thing is, it just sucks. She sounds like she wants to go to your wedding, but only if she's allowed to bring her son. And you've made a very firm stance that you just don't want any children at the wedding. Not because you don't like children. It's just because you don't want children at your wedding. And it is your wedding. And I feel like having a child at a wedding is a very big compromise. You know what I mean? Especially a child as young as a 2-year-old. So I don't think you're the asshole at all for not wanting to have a child at your wedding. I think that this is forever going to change your relationship with Sarah if you don't allow her to bring the child, which again, I don't think I would. I feel like there's a very big reason why people have child-free weddings, and to make an exception and have a child there kind of defeats the point of wanting to have a child-free wedding. So I just kind of want to know if you're willing to potentially damage your friendship with Sarah, not not saying that you have to invite children, but like, I feel like this is going to permanently fracture your relationship with Sarah. And is that's a risk you're willing to take? Okay. But no, I wouldn't bend to her demands. If I set a clear precedent that you cannot have children at my wedding, and I gave people a lot of time to make other concessions, Sarah's the only one asking you for a concession. You know what I mean? Nobody else is saying we want to bring our child. And I think some other people might be upset too. Like if they find that Sarah brings her kid and they weren't allowed to bring theirs, that could create other problems for you as well. So I personally don't think you're the asshole at all. I do think this is going to create some friction between you and Sarah going forward. And I don't know. It's possible your relationship may not be able to survive it. And that's just, I don't know. Sometimes that's just kind of how things go. But yeah, it's your wedding. You've made a clear precedent. You don't want any children at the wedding. So I don't think you should have to bend for that. And I wouldn't either. So I don't know. It's hard. It's a hard thing because you want your friend to be there, but you don't want any children there. And you've tried to help her. You've tried to give her some other alternatives. She's not interested in any of those. So what can you do? You have to just make a choice at that point. Either stick to your guns or you don't. Hard. It's easier said than done, but it is kind of where you are. Am I the asshole for not agreeing to move our wedding for my best friend and her boyfriend? Man, people are just so entitled. Okay, I'm judging. I'm prejudging. Let me read. All right. So my fiance and I recently had a situation that caused us to give it some serious thought. We've been together for over 3 years and decided to get married. The wedding preparations were not easy, but we were getting through it. 2 weeks before our wedding, my best friend, who we have been friends since childhood, suddenly announced that she was pregnant and that she or her boyfriend are going to get married as soon as possible. She asked me to reschedule our wedding to allow them to have a ceremony on the day we had long ago chosen. Wow. She argued it was important to her family as they wanted to have time to formalize the marriage before the baby was born. I don't really know what that means. If you got pregnant and you want to get married as soon as possible, the courthouse, I'm pretty sure you have to apply for a marriage certificate, but I don't think it takes that long. So I'm not sure what she means. Like she wants time to formalize the marriage. I don't know what that means. I was shocked and told her it was impossible. We already invested a lot of money and time. Yes, deposits and stuff in preparing our wedding, and changing the date 2 weeks before the celebration was a huge stress. Yes, you bring up a very good point. This is 2 weeks before your wedding. So realistically, if you were allowed to change, I think there would be penalties. And then some vendors probably would be like, no, you can't change. I'm sure these are like non-refundable for most of your vendors at this point. Anyway, she took offense and started accusing me of being selfish and unsupportive. Okay, let me finish reading. Our mutual friends were divided in their opinions. Some thought I was doing the right thing. Others thought I should have relented. You know what? It's always a bunch of people who don't have any skin in the game, who are just telling you should give them what they want. If you had spent a couple $1,000s on a wedding and somebody, who was your friend literally got pregnant and decided they wanted to get married on the same day, keep in mind, she just announced that she was pregnant. It's not like she's 8 months along, so she could literally get married the week after you, go to the courthouse. She made a decision to get married on the same day as you, and now is saying, well, if you're really my friend, you'll change the date. People, man. Anyway, so our wedding day was great, so you didn't change the date, clearly. But at the reception, I noticed that my best friend and her boyfriend did not show up. They refused to be part of the celebration because my refusal to reschedule. My fiance was supportive, but our friends were divided in their opinions. Am I the asshole? No, you're not the asshole. And I feel like you lost a friend, but if between you and me, girl, I don't think you lost anything. Sorry, you could be a man. You didn't frame it, so I don't know if you're the man writing in. Anyway, you lost a friend, but not really, because you could be, I'm assuming you're a woman. So just let me say for argument's sake that you're a woman who's writing in. So your friend got pregnant and decided that she wanted to get married right away, just to, have that whole marriage before the baby comes. She made a decision to get married on the same day as you. Because again, she just announced that she was pregnant, and they're going to get married as soon as possible. Now, let's just say she is 3 or 4 months pregnant. Again, It's not like she's 8 months along. She does not have to get pregnant. She does not have to get married on the exact same day as you. She chose to do that intentionally, which I feel like speaks a lot of volumes at you. And then she's going to sit there in your face and tell you that you should change the date for your wedding that's been planned for months, because she wants to get pregnant, because she got pregnant and she needs to get married right away. So if anything, I think you made out better. You know what I mean? You got married, enjoyed your day. Your friend's no longer your friend. That's how it goes sometimes. You know, sometimes you just outgrow people and then they do stupid shit like this and you're just like, oh, we're not friends anymore. So, no, I don't think you're the asshole at all. The audacity of her, though, is hilarious. I wish a bitch would in my face on my 2 weeks before my wedding day. Oh, I'm got pregnant and we're gonna get married. Okay, what's that got to do with me? I'm getting married on the same day as you. You should change your date. I'm sorry, what? I should change my date? Girlie, you're just going down to the courthouse, unless she was actually having a wedding. If so, that's a very shotgun wedding. But like, girlie, if you're just going down to the courthouse, you could do that any day of the week, okay? Anyway, not the asshole. And that's all the ones I'm going to do today. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of those in the comments below. That's my time. Catch you later. Bye.